It is a real privilege, actually. This is something, I mean, we have about 50 pieces of content on the stage.
Yeah.
And I get to, MC and see the different people come up. This is honestly like a big, a favourite to do this.
Thank you. It's
get to know your story.
Good to be here.
Thanks. Yeah, I thought I'd big you up just before we kick off.
Appreciate the love.
Josh, talk to us about Cano Water. What is Cano Water and how did it start?
So Cano Water is and was the first canned water in the world. The story is myself and my two best friends went to Thailand in 2014 and saw how bad the plastic problem was. It was at a time where no one was talking about the plastic problem. No one really cared that much. I think anyone that was talking about the plastic problem were environmentalists and people who, the standard person on the street might look at as being like a tree hugger. And then we went to Thailand. We saw how bad the plastic problem was. We saw brands that we grew up loving, Evian, Coca-Cola, polluting the oceans, and became completely and utterly obsessed with trying to make a difference. After doing extensive research into aluminium, so aluminium is the most recyclable material on the planet. So when you recycle a can, it will come back as another can, right, unlike any other material. And yeah, in 2016, we were the first brand in the world to put water in a can. And I think I just mentioned to you before, when we first started Cano Water, we would stand outside the Truman Brewery handing out cans to people, and people would just ignore us, thinking that we were absolute lunatics and crazy people. And it's just absolutely mental seeing hundreds of people outside walk around with Cano Water. It's just strange.
It's pretty cool. People queuing up to have this water. Yeah. So you went to Thailand, you came back, you saw a big problem to solve. Talk to us about that journey then, and some of the ups and downs of getting to selling cans outside of the brewery to then having people queue up for Cano Waters in buckets here at Madfest.
For sure, there was more downs than ups, unfortunately. I think that when starting a disruptive brand, something that no one's ever seen before, people genuinely go against you because they can't understand why you would go from A to B. I always explain to people in this context of we all had BlackBerry phones, we were all obsessed with our BBMs, giving our pins out left, right and centre. We couldn't imagine getting away from our BlackBerry, and then one weirdo got an iPhone, and you were like, I'm not getting an iPhone. And then over time, more and more people would start to get iPhones, and then you ended up getting an iPhone, and now we've all got iPhones, and where's BlackBerry? And I think that that's how we looked at Cano Water. I think we knew that this is better, it's more recyclable, it isn't going to harm wildlife, and cans, as I said, are more recyclable. So we thought it was going to be easy. Unfortunately, it wasn't. And for about 3.5 years, it was really, really, really tough. No one wanted to pick up the phone to us. People thought that we were mad, as I said. Putting water in a can isn't easy, especially when you're the first person to do it, because all the places that you call, look at, I was 22 years old. Who's this 22-year-old calling me up about putting water in a can? And I think that it just was that mentality of just no belief, really. So, if I was to talk about all of the downs, would be here until 1 o'clock in the morning, in all honesty. But the truth is that it was perseverance, it was naivety. I always tell people that it needed 3 people outside of the drinks industry to create Cano Water, because Evian have now put sparkling water into cans. You've got loads of brands that are putting water into cans, but they don't want to put their water into cans. They're doing it because they're scared of us, because we've actually started to make, they didn't think that we would, but started to make movements and started to actually grow. And consumers, like, everyone sitting here, have actually started to buy Cano Water. But the truth is, for 3-4 years, it was really, really, really depressing and tough. And, a story that I like to tell people is that in the end of 2018, we brought a managing director into the business, and he basically sat us down and said, listen guys, you've got a great product, but you're about to go bankrupt and insolvent. The business, is not making any money. You might have Stormzy holding a can, but it doesn't mean anything because no one actually cares about the product. No one's actually buying it. Something needs to change. And we've got 3 months to really, really, really make a difference. And if we don't, we just got to go back to what, our original jobs that I didn't have really anything to go back to. So I was pretty nervous. And, on the last few weeks, David Attenborough did Blue Planet, and we went from being the most stupid fad in the UK to this product that was a necessity, where other people would go on the journey of how to get rid of plastic, and then they would see the same thing that we saw, that cans are more recyclable. We sold about 250,000 cans from 2016 to the end of 2018, which is nothing. And in 2019, we sold 12 million cans in 1 year.
Well, that's impressive. I'm just encourage you in the app. You can ask questions as well. So I want to have a chance to ask some questions here. But if you want to jump into the app, you can hit the app, hit Q&A. And then hit the brand innovation stage and just ask a question, and I'll see if I can capture any of those. So purpose and the problem that you wanted to solve was clearly a catalyst to making Cano Water, and you've experienced massive growth. I mean, what you've just described in there. So how do you keep that purpose at the center, number one, and how do you keep that grit, that resilience, that innovation, creativity at the center as well to your roots?
Yeah, so obviously this talks about riders of the storm, and I think that it's something that we've always been very good at. I remember sitting down with one of the founders of one of the big, I'm not going to say who they are, but one of the biggest drinks companies in the UK, and he laughed us out of the room and just said, Cano Water will never get onto the shelves of Tesco. It might look good, but the plastic problem's not that bad. And 2 months ago, I got invited to their head office to talk to all of their marketing team about how to build a brand. And I think that the truth is that you've just got to go with your heart. And you talk about purpose. Purpose is ingrained in Cano Water. It's ingrained in the DNA of why we started the business. We've always put purpose before profit. We've never ever had a conversation that doesn't start with the sustainable side of the brand. Aluminium is a resource at the end of the day. It's not you could argue that tap water is the greatest alternative to plastic, but we believe that from a convenience perspective, the only way to really go up against the big plastic companies, and hence why the plastic consumption is growing, is because we need alternatives in the market that people can move over to, that isn't just such an abrupt, because if you forget so I think that we know that this isn't the most sustainable, but it's a better option, and it's definitely aluminium is the best option. So I think that when you think of being ahead of the curve, we've always, as founders and as a team, and everyone that we hire, we always think innovatively. We always think, how can we not copy people, because we get copied left, right and center. Loads of brands get copied. How can we do how can we do things that we think of ourselves, and that is very in line with the mission of the brand and is very forward thinking. And I think that that's where a lot of brands go wrong. I'm new to, I've got 7 years of marketing experience now, but the truth is I just see the same old rubbish, marketing 101 from a lot of brands, and we're in a place now where if you don't think fast and if you're not innovative, you will get overtaken, and you can get overtaken by smaller brands if that brand gets a following and a cult following. And I think that's sort of the experience that I've seen, especially with whether it's with the vegan movement or the plastic-free movement. I think that it's so incredible to see that consumers are actually backing sustainable and brands that are better for us.
Yeah. Josh, lots of questions coming in, and maybe we'll just land on this last one to close, and to think about some advice as well going into the next bits of content that we have at MadFest. Obviously it's about riding the storm, and in riding a storm you're not just surviving but also thriving. So what's been or some of your advice for companies to thrive in a storm, number one, and particularly around competition that you may have? So people are starting to put water in cans, so you've got challenger brands, but you've also got if Evian can do it and others. So help us land here with what's your advice, and what are you currently thinking about when it comes to riding a storm and innovating and continuing to stay ahead of the curve against competitors?
Yeah, so I think it really comes down to the people in the business, and I think that anyone that knows me, I was never really meant to be an entrepreneur. It was never on my agenda. If you told any of the teachers at school that I was where I am now, they would laugh and they'd be very impressed. I think that creativity is something that is incredibly powerful, and I think that in a lot of big businesses, people get held back. You know, a lot of the time I get told by people, I wish I could join Cano Water, because it seems like, you know, my thing has always been no idea is a bad idea, and even if it is a stupid idea, we can make it work. And I think that it's about that creative freedom, especially when it comes to Cano Water. I think competition is something that I used to completely, can I swear?
Yeah, go for it.
Used to completely shit myself about and get no sleep about, and the reality is we'd be absolutely stupid with the belief that we had in canned water that no one else would do it. There are some amazing brands out there that are putting water into cans. I don't agree with ones that put water into cans and still sell shitloads of plastic bottles, but if people, you know, our vision has always been to sell 1 billion plastic bottles, remove 1 billion plastic bottles out of circulation within the next 10 years by selling infinitely recyclable cans, and also making other people follow suit. So, you know, if Evian wants to do it and they want to stop selling their plastic bottles, so be it. It's great, you know. I think that competition doesn't worry me anymore, because I think that when we were the only people in the category, it was really boring. And, you know, we would try and do all these sort of guerrilla marketing stunts against no one really. And now we're going to, you know, now we're doing some really fun and exciting stuff. We've got some really good stuff going on. And I think that my main advice is really just go with yourself, go with your gut. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I think there's a lot of negativity around, no, that's a stupid idea, this and that. And it's sort of like that is the thing that's going to stop you from that goal and being the best version of yourself.
Amazing. Thanks for landing us there, Josh.
All
Let's
good.
give Josh a round of applause. You can take some Cano Water. You'll find it dotted around Madfest. But thank you for joining us. Okay, brilliant. Thanks. Thanks, Josh.